I'll just invite my panelists on and then I'll introduce them. There's a lot of you. Welcome, everyone. Come on, panelists, come on in. Big round of applause.
Nice chair, nice low chair, Liz. Oh, jeez.
Gosh, everyone's interested in aging disgracefully, right? That's so good. It's great to see you all. I'm so excited to be here today with our brilliant panelists who I'll introduce in a minute. And I'm really excited to be with you all. I mean, you know, hopefully we can reconnect with our sense of humour, which we might have lost over the last couple of years. We can reconnect with our laughter muscles and our pelvic floor muscles at the same time. Yes. But most importantly, we can reconnect with each other. I think it's so fantastic to be here, really great. And to know we're not alone anymore. Woohoo! So turn your hearing aids to high. I'm turning mine up. I've got one, and it's going to be a great panel. The topic, as you know, is aging disgracefully. Now, there are two main questions, really. What is aging, and what is disgracefully? Really. We are continually told that 40 is the new 30 and 50 is the new 40, and it isn't true. It does mean that we run the risk of dressing 10 years younger than we are and wondering why nothing seems to fit. We may live longer because of modern medicine and home heating and guaranteed food supplies and freely available affordable clothing in low-cost synthetics. And possibly because we go to work and sit down rather than haul buffalo out of swamps. We may not know whether we are guaranteed to live longer yet. But many people from the generation that came of age in the 40s and the 50s are pressing ahead into their late 80s and 90s. And how do their relatives reward and celebrate them? We lock them up together and we remove them from society and we complain about what they're costing us. They are like beached boats. That is disgraceful. What we tend to mean by disgraceful is when people older than us persist in loving and learning, in refining their curiosity, in laughing, especially in laughing, in thinking, and not thinking that IT awareness is a measurement of IQ. Equally, we can find it scandalous when people older than us are happy at their keyboards, engrossed with their own networks. What can they find to text about? Or we are offended when people older than us are adventurous in their kitchens or in their camper vans. It is disgraceful that people older than us go right on following the music, barging into politics, opening a second bottle at dinner, when we just want them to give us their house. Today we're going to celebrate aging, celebrate the fact that there is more to aging than simply growing old and being old. Aging isn't really about age. We have all been aging since the time we were born. So when do we start thinking about aging? Not in primary school, though we were aging really fast in primary school. We were aging like the clappers in primary school and not even worrying about it at all because we were just growing up. So when did everyone decide we were no longer growing up? We were growing old. Who decides that? These will be some of the probing questions that our inspiring and esteemed panel will explore with us today. So allow me to introduce you to them. First of all, there's Liz Bursky. Liz, welcome, Liz. I know, she really needs no introduction. She's a renowned and respected woman of experience and wisdom who has spent a great deal of her professional life writing about women and their lives. She's a novelist, a journalist, a broadcaster, an advisor on women to the WA Western Australian Government. She's a teacher of professional and creative writing at Curtin University. She was a panelist on Beauty and the Beast.
I wasn't the beast.
You were. You should have been the beast.
Yeah, okay.
I think.
Who was
As a novelist, she's written many books of fiction and non-fiction, but one of her books that I will quote from now, and this is a great truth, she has written, most particular to our topic today, she has written a book called Women and Aging. And one of the quotes is a great truth. Living longer and living well are the triumphs of civilized society. It is also the future that all generations want for themselves. So welcome, Liz. Thank you.
Thank you, Queen.
Katy Steele, brilliant. Woo! A brilliant multi-award-winning musician, guitarist, singer and songwriter. She was born in 1983.
Oh,
What
come on!
the hell are you doing here?
That's bullshit!
She's an intruder.
That's what we're all thinking. Why are you here? She's still
feel
so
young.
39, but maybe how people
Not yet.
view you.
Still 38.
Are you still 38?
Now she's making it
No, that's horrible.
I didn't say I could add up. Sorry, 38. Hang on to that 38 for as long as you can, believe me.
I certainly am.
You know, you seem so young to us, but maybe how people view you is influenced by the industry in which you work, and I think we're going to learn a lot about that. And of course, Pete Rowsthorn. Legendary comedian from Let the Blood Run Free.
Love you, Jen.
Thank God you're here. Kath and Kim. You're still on the telly.
I know, it's incredible.
It's incredible.
I know.
Still let you out.
Yes.
Decades of stand-up. Pete and I cut our comedy teeth together back in the 1980s, and look, he hasn't aged at all.
Liar.
You're sort of ageless, Pete.
Yes,
You're
you are.
still so young. I don't know how you feel about that, but we'll ask him in a minute.
Yeah, ask me to stand up.
So is everyone's mics on? We can hear you all loud and clear, I hope.
I don't know, testing 1, 2. Can you hear us at the back?
Can you hear?
Up the back, can you hear?
Can you
Can
hear
you hear
us?
us up the
Beautiful.
back?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm having trouble and I'm standing right here. I really am. But never mind, hang on. Okay. Anyone who wears hearing aids knows that's what you have to do, right? Just pop your ears. So, Liz, at what age, this is a question, at what age do we stop growing up and start aging? Because I'll just use an example, like P.D. James is an inspiration. She wrote that at 90, she realized that time and creativity were not inexhaustible. That's what she wrote at 90. And then she sat down and wrote a sequel to Pride and Prejudice called Death Comes to Pemberley at 90, chuckling all the way. And you've written Women and Aging. You wrote that in 2012. So do you think I'll start with the thing about women. Are there improvements in women's self-regard over the last 10 years, do you think?
I think there is, but I think it all depends on the people around us to a great extent and how we react to them and whether we let them put us down or treat us as old crocs. And I mean, my sons, they treat me as old crocs, but they're both over 40, so they really can't do that. No, I'm just kidding, but I think that women do feel stronger and more empowered as they get older anyway, and I think this time probably more than any other previous time. However, I think there's a lot that needs to change in order to really get value from that. Because I think a lot of women, probably more than men, suffer from depression in old age, and it's because they feel that they haven't got anything to offer, whereas most of them have got heaps to offer. They just need opportunities and encouragement, and what I've found as I've got older, and I'm 78, I need help now because I've got problem with my brain, and I'm aging rather rapidly into dementia. So there's whole heaps of things that I can't do on my own now, and so many new friends and new contacts are so tremendously helpful. So I think it is a better time for older women than it has been in the past. But there's still a lot of people that end up being treated badly, especially in nursing homes, as we know.
Well, that's right. I mean, we all had that experience in the past 2 years of COVID. I mean, we saw news report after news report of older women, particularly quarantined in aged care, sick, dying, separated from their families by glass panes and government decrees. This is a horrible, horrible metaphor. You know, are older women not only invisible but expendable, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think everybody's got something to offer. Even right up until the end, for quite a lot of people, they're still active in some way. Not playing golf or football or whatever, but just chatting to little children. There's been a couple of ABC programs recently. What was it called?
Chatting with kids.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Aged care for 4-year-olds.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's great.
Right.
It's fantastic.
And how much those kids got from that, and how much the older people themselves got from it too. Was just wonderful if you think about what can be done to bring people together, if organisations would just take the time to think about that and how it can be good for both ends of the age.
But if I wander off to my nearest kindergarten and just stroll in...
No, I wouldn't if I were you. You'll get arrested.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I think what you're saying is really important, that the idea of older people being valued and the value they can bring to a community, and how we can integrate our elders back into the community is a really important thing. And thank you for talking so courageously about your age and what's happening to you at the moment. I mean, that is very courageous to sit here in front of everyone and to say that self-awareness, but to share it, you know. So that is, because a lot of aging comes with shame, I think.
I think it does. And both my parents had Alzheimer's. And once I knew that I had problems, I mean, that's the big thing now. How long will I last? How long will I keep going, be able to do things like this, spend time with my friends? But the wonderful thing about this time is that I've just acquired some wonderful friends, and 2 of them are out there, Sue and Ariana. Wave, Sue and Ariana. Oh, there they are, down there. They're a lot of trouble.
They get good seats, though.
They get good seats. But they keep me out of trouble, and they get me to places. And I honestly do, and I'm not saying this is something I'm going to do when I get older. I do ring them with the most ridiculous questions and get terribly agitated about them. And they calm me down, and then they, you know, bring me back to life in a normal sort of way.
That's fantastic. Yeah, because
so everybody who's got care, they're not official carers, they're friends. But friends are so important, and family at this time.
It's funny how anxiety and that anxiety you feel when you're losing control, or you feed off situations that are out of your control, and they get to you more.
Yes,
my mother is she's now 93, and she used to get really upset with my father, who passed away, and since she's passed, she's a lot more relaxed.
Yes.
He used to stress her out quite a lot.
I got rid of mine much earlier than that.
Well done. Great call, well done. But yeah, it's funny how it just adds to the confusion and the lack of clarity with everything.
It's dreadful, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and you wind yourself up, and then somebody can come in and say the right thing, and you wind down and think that was absolutely ridiculous. I'm embarrassed about it, but you can't sort of stop it as it's happening.
That's not at all.
No.
It was like we had a meeting for this event over Zoom and the other day. So luckily I got on quite easily. I just joined the group and I came up on the screen.
Oh, cool. Stop showing off.
It was a fluke. But then there was 3 blank screens. Are you on? Can you hear me? I can't work this. Are you? And suddenly Jean pops on, finally after, 5 minutes, with a young person next to her going. And then suddenly,
your daughter?
10 minutes later, Liz comes on with
daughter.
the young person next to her going, got it.
That's the young person down there.
She did exactly what I did, but it worked for her. You know how that happens.
I couldn't figure it out either.
Yeah.
I
And you're young.
I had to pull my mobile phone out and get the code and use my phone because I couldn't work it out on the computer. So there you go.
Couldn't have done it.
No.
Thank you, Katy.
I
There you go. It is
I
very
couldn't have done
confusing
that because
sometimes.
I've been able to find my mobile phone.
Yeah. Well, that would be a problem.
So, Pete, do you think, as Liz was saying earlier, do you think it's other people's perception? Do you feel old?
Oh, I'm in the most disgraceful category of all. I'm in the middle to elderly white guy category. we kicked off the Me Too movement and started wars and, destroyed cultures. There is the thing of looking back at what men have done, especially men of distinction and age, and it's not really seen as wisdom anymore. It's seen as you
Stupidity.
guys were a pack of frickin' dickheads and did a whole lot of bad stuff. So I'm in that category. But I've had a beautiful, wonderful life, but I'm in showbiz. So, and I think Katy will probably refer to this a little bit closer than I will, but and I'm still in the game. I go, I'm now starting to make calls to myself saying, am I going to go to am I going to get a film role that's going to flee me to Hollywood? And I always think of Jackie Weaver.
Yeah.
Jackie Weaver. Happened quite late. So you never know what's going to propel you. And I think of just leaving the door open to having a future in whatever career you're in is a positive way of thinking.
Just got to keep that fire
those
burning.
doors close very quickly
That's
on
right.
you as you start to hit late 50s, 60s, especially in showbiz. You can shut them and go, I'm going to go drive a truck, or can leave them open and go, trust it, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
But what about comedy? Comedy isn't quite so ageist, is it?
No, not at all. No,
But
I'm
he
very
was
lucky.
never
like
very
that.
funny anyway.
Could someone
Sitting
do
here.
something about this?
Yeah, look, there's a whole discussion around that at the moment because of the world becoming too PC or whatever, which I don't really believe in. You just got to find an angle to make it work. All comics go through different feels and things. The style of comedy is very different now than it was in the 80s or the 90s even. But if you're fluid and you go with your own sensibility will guide you a lot of the time. If you're a good person and have a good radar for finding holes in where the line is, you'll be okay. But if you don't know how to not see where the line is and just keep on stepping over it like you would have in 30 years ago, and that the line's shifting, that's all. And it can go up and backwards and forwards and do all strange things, but you just got to keep an eye on it. But it's keeping your mind. Look, I'm still, as you said before, I've got young people's clothes on.
You've got young people's clothes
I ask
on.
my daughters, I go, do I look like a dickhead? And they go, yeah, no. Whatever, no one's looking at you, Dad, doesn't matter.
Do you own a cardigan, Pete?
I own many cardigans, yes.
All right,
Cardigan
good,
lover. Thank you.
I approve
They're
of that.
very sensible. They're what?
Cardigans can be stylish,
They can.
Yeah, they can be.
but they also cannot
They
be.
can be if you're young.
Yeah.
No,
I own it. We love a
don't worry.
I'm not worried.
Yeah, no. I think, like you're saying, be flexible and still humour. I think is ageless, really.
Oh yeah.
I think it's one of those vehicles that relate to anyone of any age. You could entertain. You probably still do entertain young people as well, all ages.
I creep into the schools occasionally and
And then I get kicked out.
hopefully that's the key to it. If you can,
So you never get. That's.
you've got to be able to hit all markets. You've got to be able to make a 16. That was the beauty of Kath and Kim, because it seemed to be
Yes.
able to transcend ages. And you could, because women were the driving characters in it, and Kath was representing the eras from the 50s and 60s in terms of the language she used and the sayings, and Kim was anything new, and Sharon was just this.
Yes.
So Sharon, so Australian, and so her own thing, and so and because they're the guidelines, the women in it were sort of the stronghold, and so women would watch it, and if they had children, and it's hung, like you say, it's still on Netflix, so the children who were born when it was first made are now 20, and they're all keying into it now because they've been passed it on like a, you must watch, Kath and Kim. And so I've been very lucky to be in that vehicle. I really like the men in it because the men were gentlemen.
Yes.
The men weren't from Kingswood country, they weren't Paul Hogan. They were men of, they were just going about their business without being,
Yeah, dominating alpha. They weren't
That's
alpha.
right,
Yeah, true.
Not that I want this to be in any way anti-men, because, I know you must be feeling that males thing and being super sensitive. Do you think you're being... But you don't really fit into the category because of the way you dress, I think.
That's right.
Yes.
If you had a suit on, you'd be a target for sure.
I do a lot of functions, a lot of business functions, and the ratio is generally still 80% men, 20% women. So the ground that's being made is very slow. It should be much quicker than it's happening. It's like it's still men are still just hanging on.
Yeah.
Let go of the power. Yeah.
Well, Katy, we're talking about showbiz and ageing, and maybe disgracefully, but ageing in showbiz, I think, is because you're here, because I think the ageing happens earlier in showbiz for women than it does for men. We become seen as older, and I thought I'd just do a couple of quotes. A television producer famously said when he was asked whether a woman in her 40s should be on television, he said, "I don't care what age she is as long as she doesn't look it."
Yeah.
So, that's why you see women on television who go to a lot of trouble not to look their age and not to talk about their age. And then there, of course, is Tina Fey's provocative quote, "Definition of crazy in show business is a woman who keeps talking even after no one wants to fuck her anymore."
That is hilarious.
So, I mean...
Very good.
I don't know whether... Do you know that quote?
No.
Oh, right.
That
It's a
is
good
so funny.
quote. But, when you look at the music industry, Paul McCartney's touring at 80, Mick and Keith are touring at 78, Donovan's touring at 76, Bob Dylan's touring at 81, Elton John just retired at 80, Paul Simon retired at 80. Where are the women?
Well, Deborah Harry's still out there.
Deborah Harry.
She's the only one I can think of straight off the top of my head. But Madonna, I mean, that's the whole kettle of fish, isn't it? Can of worms.
I was thinking, where's Grace Jones? Where's, Joan Baez? Where's that era?
Yeah, I think they're still going.
Are they?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. Then forget I even said it. I'm really glad to hear it, actually.
We'll put it down to your age.
Yeah. Sorry. It was the big encyclopedia I was
around?
opening.
Yeah, she's just over
Jean
there.
Kittson. Oh, yeah, okay. So she is, yeah.
So, Katy, how do you feel about age? Are you feeling like, does anyone refer to you as aging?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think people refer to me as being respected and you've got a big history and all that. And, in other words, it's like your old hat kind of thing. But in some ways, it's also really cool that I'm still going and releasing music like this year and stuff, and got a new record this year. Tough crowd. A bit quiet, aren't they?
Yeah.
But the proof is in who's in the charts, and when Lorde came out and she was 16, it's I was 35, Wolf, I would have been 33 or something at that point, and it's well, there's, Kid Leroy or whatever, he's 18, artists are just getting younger and younger and younger because of the internet, you can basically make a record, which my latest record I've done at in my home studio as well, so that's the way things are moving. It's things are more accessible. You got TikTok, songs go viral on TikTok, which I tried to use it, and I'm I don't even know what the hell's going on here.
Have you used it?
I've tried, but I feel like an old person using it because it's just I don't.
You're not a native.
I use Instagram and Facebook. I don't even use Twitter really, so they're my two. Because Instagram is about it's just photos. I can handle that. But yeah, it's, you know, it's just the way the industry's heading, really. But it's like what you were saying. It's like you're either a lifer or you're not, and I can't really see myself doing anything else. So I just have to kind of, you know, keep going and you know, there's ways you can do things independently now. Like back in the day when I was 18, which is when I started my band, I was like 19 when I got signed, which is, Jesus, nearly 20 years ago. Well, it is 20 years ago. That is insane. You know, things were different then. It was about being on a label. It was about having that big budget, big label money behind you. But now you can kind of do, you know, things a bit more on the underground. You can be independent. You can release music. It's still expensive and it still costs a lot of money, and you still don't make a lot of money because, you know, it's just you can't sell records like you did in the old days. So yeah, it's a real different market now. But I like to think, and what I keep telling myself is there's space for everyone.
Yeah.
And you know, hopefully Double J will go get onto proper radio, so it's not just digital radio anymore. That would really help us older artists. But you know, I think it's like what you guys were saying before. It's like a real waste. Like, well, they got all these artists that, like, I'm hitting my prime now. Like,
Yeah.
I've just had a baby like 8 weeks ago, which is crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woohoo! You're alive. And, you know, so I'm going through that, and, you know, like, I'm seeing, like, I'm making music now still and seeing it through different eyes. I'm stronger, like, I'm braver, you know, because I'm not scared about, you know, like you were saying, I'm not scared anymore. Like, I'm an older woman.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself, like, and I want to put music out there that's, like, important. I don't want to just sing, like, stupid pop songs. So, you know, there should be more out there for people that are, you know, getting into that. I think if you're in the UK or something, you've got like BBC 3, you've got more options over there. Like over here it's very, very small kind of market, and especially if you're kind of in that older kind of market.
It's crazy when you look at how we love musicians and we follow them all our lives. We don't want them to disappear.
No, well, I know. There should be a bit more out there, I think, for many. There's not enough infrastructure, I think, like, you know, to really... But maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. It's just...
So do you think your industry categorises you as an older woman now?
Oh, yeah, I'd say so, yeah. I mean, if you look at all the festivals that happen, and a lot of them, it's like strictly Triple J bands, and it's like the same bands recycled over and over. And, you know, for me, I think that's kind of boring. It's like, do something different. Like, not that I'm saying have like a geriatric festival, but, you know, there's lots of artists.
That'd be good, actually.
Hey, maybe we should.
Yeah.
I think there's an opening in the market here, guys. No, I mean, like, I'm not an old artist. Like, I'm in my prime, really. I think I'm in my prime personally. Like, but yeah, it's, you know, where are the options, really?
Do you feel like you've got, because you say you're feeling, you know, confident and mature, and you've got the wisdom and the experience, you feel like you can make a difference?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think, like you said, you're never too old to make a difference. Like, if anything, you make a difference the older you get, like, because you're more knowledgeable and you've got something to say, and you've got history, and you've got, like, roots, and you've got, like, you know, you've got a story. You know, like, when I was 19, I was up there, like, you know, singing, like, it was great, and I was a lot hotter, but...
No.
But it's like, you know, what do you...
You're hot now, believe me.
Yeah,
You're
hot.
amazingly hot.
Nah. I don't know, it's, you know, it's, you just got more of a story now, and, like, you got more of a story when you get older, and that should be something that we should really be proud of, I think. Do you think?
Yeah, and I think that you're touching on something that's very important, and that is how the media sees old
exactly.
people, or doesn't see them at all.
Yeah.
And I was rewatching, well, I am at the moment rewatching a series called The Times of Our Lives, and it had a lot of our favourite actors in it. I think it's, I looked it up last night, I think it's 18 years old now. and I would tell you the names of the people who are in it if I could remember them. But if I could put them on a screen for you, you'd know them immediately. And it was about an extended family with links through an adopted child to Vietnam. And there was one of the sons ran a nightclub, and another one was a guitarist. And they had various children and different marriages. And it was a wonderful setup, except the only two people in it who had really low profiles were the parents. So this thing is about this family, but the parents who are in this series between late 70s and mid 80s, oh, well, the mother is hardly there at all. The father is a bit more there because he has the links to Vietnam. But you would think that everybody in Australia died in their 40s and 50s, honestly. It was such a wonderful series. The acting was wonderful. The storylines were great. And in each episode, one or other of the characters, it was their thing. It wasn't all about them, but it focused on their story. And that happened to all of them, except the parents, who brought all these people up and brought them
up, brought them together, had the biggest backstory of them all.
Yes, that's right.
Had the most interesting experiences, probably. And if the writers had thought about it, they could have got a lot of good...
They could have got another
They could have
complete
created
series
wonderfully rich characters.
Yeah.
As you say, the media, like, who decides, who decides when we're growing old? Like, do we decide that? Like, who decides that when a 60-year-old woman steals a Range Rover to go on a beer run, she is described as elderly? Like, who decides she's first of all, elderly is not a noun. It is an adjective, and you can be elderly at any age. They are our elders, not the elderly. The elderly is a condition. We shouldn't be describing our elders as the elderly, because you can be elderly at any age, and at any age you need not be elderly. It just depends on sort of luck and genetics and what's going on for you in your life. So maybe we should just ask, do you think it's the idea of aging is other people's perception more than anything? Not our own? Did someone first mention aging or?
Yeah. Oh, you go.
I just have, because I'm 59, I'm 60 in January, and I did it before. I don't know whether I'm middle-aged or I'm getting old yet. I'm old.
Right.
And so old to me doesn't sound right. Middle-aged is, if I double my age, I've been well dead. So I'm not middle-aged.
No,
Cross that line.
Right.
So then I fall into the old category. And I go, I'm not in the old category. Look at my clothes.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at the top of your head.
Look at the top of my head. All that is.
Yeah, you're cool.
Yeah.
So you think it's other people's? I remember when.
Sorry.
Sorry.
No. I think.
I remember. Oh yeah.
No.
You. And you go, Pete.
Yes. Oh, look,
I'm facilitating you. Sorry,
I know you are, but no, I'm just saying you judge it. I think you try and judge it for yourself a little bit. I'm saying inside my head I'm a middle-aged person, but to the outside, I don't know what I am. I don't really care.
Right. It's just over the last few years, it's just really been happening for me, though. This, like being seen as an older person. Like in 2019, I broke my hip. And my husband called it an age-related injury because I was dancing with a 21-year-old. And we were dancing to Dancing Queen, actually. ABBA, I know. Well, it was a mental health party, and it was at our place. We have a lot of mental health parties at our place with my daughters. We all need it. So I'd gone down, and I'd had a few drinks, and I went down, and everyone's sitting around grieving. They'd just lost one of their friends. And I go, come on, let's put the music on. Let's dance. And we're dancing, and everyone starts getting up, and we go, Dancing Queen. And then I'm just standing there rocking with this girl, and I must have closed my eyes, and my balance isn't great with my hearing aid. And then I found myself falling backwards, and I fell, and I broke my hip.
Wow.
And I knew it was broken, but because everyone was in a fragile mental health state of mind, I dragged myself up 2 flights of stairs and didn't ring the ambos till the next morning. Also, I didn't really want them to know just what I'd been drinking. And then I get wheeled into the emergency to go and get surgery. And the surgeon, the orthopedic surgeon, looked down at me and he says, "Don't worry, Jean, I'll operate on you as if you were my own mother." Firstly, I thought, I'm not old enough to be your freaking mother. And then I thought, I don't even know what sort of a relationship he has with his mother.
Yeah.
And then I Googled him, and he was old. I was old enough to be his mother. So that made me feel old. And then when I was being discharged, I look on my papers and it's got ETO or something. Is there a nurse here? ETOH or something like that? Is that it? ETOH? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I said, what does ETOH? And they said, alcohol was involved. And I said, does it have to be on my discharge papers? And they said, it's better than the old days. We used to write PFO, pissed fell over. Oh my God. Yes, I've just been getting older. So I feel that that's a lot of, it's people's attitude, things they say. Do you get a bit of that, Katy?
Yeah, because like I still feel like I'm 26. Like when I think about my age, I'm just like, what? And I'm like, it's cool. I've got kids and stuff now, which is awesome. Like I've got that part of my life, which is great. You know, my life's so different now, but yeah, I still just do not know where the time's gone, and I still feel. I mean, we all do. You don't feel your age, do you? You don't feel.
No.
You don't feel old. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's. I feel like it is. Like what you get told, like from the media or just generally, you know, it's like I'm at an age where, yeah, I should have my life together.
Yeah, do you want to see my life?
It's like, I don't know. But
so you're our elder, Liz. Was there a point where, I mean, our revered and respected elder.
Thank you.
So was there a point where it started changing for you, or did it happen like suddenly you're getting these things with your health? Does that feel like a big change?
Yeah, it's. I gave up. I was working in a university until I think 2.5 years ago, maybe 3. And when I stopped work, and I was finding it more difficult by then. Mainly doing the paperwork, and particularly anything with numbers in it. And I did start to feel older then, and then I was on my own, working from home, writing. I was getting books published still. But I do think that I started then to feel this is too much. I need to cut down, be sensible, take the dog for walks, that sort of thing. But since then it has got worse, yes. It's very difficult to live with, yeah.
Yes, yes, it would be. But and especially losing some of your autonomy must be.
Oh well, yes.
And but you're sort of got your friends to work with you rather than sort of for you, whereas a lot of people just get their independence taken away from them.
Yes, I'm tremendously lucky. Most of my sons live in the eastern states. So they're safe, you see. So I am very dependent on friends, and I've got very lovely neighbours who help me mow the lawn, things like that. So I'm very fortunate, and that's partly due to the area that I live in and the friends that I've made there, living there. And many of those I've made through my dog.
Oh, yeah.
Because we go to a dog park, and everyone's very kind and knows, you know, a lot of people there are, I think I'm the oldest, but there are quite a lot of older people there, and we all try and help each other. But I think I get the best of it because I'm obviously less capable than other people.
Could be that you're a nice person too, though.
Yeah.
Because if you're a dickhead, they wouldn't.
Oh, you are so...
I swear to God, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, it's what you give off sometimes to get back.
Yes.
It's that thing when there's trigger points, like your fall, your recovery time would have been quite slow from your hip. Did you notice it being slow? Or?
No, because there was a family crisis a week later, so I found myself just having to ditch the, you know what life's like. So I was forced to ditch the crutches. I thought I was going to get a year out of this. I thought people were going to help me and carry things for me. It lasted maybe a week. Well,
Right.
and I had to work. I had to get on stage, and I had to, you know, start working again.
Yeah.
But I hid my cane, and I learned to walk just without any form of because this is what I wanted to do. Oh my God! But I would walk up, hi everyone, like this. So you try and be.
Yeah.
You try and look less vulnerable, less old. You know, but at the same time, you want, you know, like when I say less old, you just don't want to look like frail, I think, when you're on stage and vulnerable, especially with comedy, because people won't laugh. They're just feeling sorry for you.
Is that what it is?
That's it. Are they sitting going like, oh, poor Pete?
Look at him. He can barely walk. I got really fit a few years ago to a stupid television show, lost a whole lot of weight, and I got really fit when I was in the jungle. I came out, I felt fantastic. I was light as I never, it was really great. I felt great. And I kept it up, and I kept going to the gym. Then I did Priscilla, Queen of the Desert last year, and I fell off the bus.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Full frock, and just went bang. Hit the ground really hard, and I whacked my knee, and I was puffed up, and I was just really stiff the next day. And about a week later, I was running in the rain to my car, and something popped in my knee, and so I went super puffy. And that was a year and a half ago, and it's still weird and puffy. So I had to go and see a surgeon. He said, "Well, I think I got a new one. You got a brand new one because you've got arthritis in them both, but this one's puffy and weird." And I said, "Oh, well, that's okay. Can you get the puffiness to go down? And can you feel like the other arthritic one, which is all tickety-boo?" And he said, "Well, no, it's going to be all fat and weird for years, or probably forever." I said, "Well, that's terrible information. Thanks very much." What do I do? He said, "We can try and suck some stuff out of it. I can probably try and clean it up, but really, it's not going to do much. You know, you can take 8 Panadol a day." I said, "Thanks for the advice." And now I've done whatever this hip flexor thing is. I've done that.
Oh my God!
Yes, that's
So
horrible.
it's horrible. And anyway, it's just, and it just the.
You're showing your age by talking about your ailment.
I know. And
You could be here all day.
I'm all right.
You're all right.
Oh, you're so brave.
Thank you.
You're very brave.
Thank you. I'll see you at the
Very
dog park, Lynn.
Thank you. Thanks, Pete.
We're going to open questions to the audience in a minute.
Ooh.
But Katy, did you want to add something then?
Oh no, I was just going to say, I feel like if you're single, the best thing to do is to get a dog, don't you think?
Yes.
Like you just meet so many people at the dog park.
Yes.
You right?
Absolutely.
It's a social way to get out
It's
there.
a lovely way to get out.
that's
And
not
the dogs love it.
Yeah, the dogs are great if they don't knock you over.
Oh yeah, that's careful.
You know, the other thing that happened to me was this. I was doing the Today Extra, and I was doing a panel in about maybe early last year, and there was once a week I'd go on, and my parents are still alive, so I feel young. My mum's 97 and my dad's 95. It's
crazy.
Yeah, he's her toy boy. But so I'm on the telly, Dad sees it, and he rings me up and he goes, Jean. I go, hi, Dad. He said, I saw you on the telly this morning. And I said, oh, did you, Dad? And he said, yes. He said, do you have to do that show? And I said, what do you mean, Dad? And he said, well, it's not doing you any favours.
Oh, my God.
This is true. Crossed my heart and said, what do you mean? And he said, your neck. Do you know how much it takes to go on those high-definition televisions when you're getting older and you keep saying to yourself, you know, like, you could do it? I go, what do you mean, my neck, Dad? He goes, I don't know whether they're lighting you in a weird way. He wouldn't know. Or the camera angle. So I rang up a friend. You know when you're just starting to lose, get shattered, you're falling apart. I rang up a friend, and she said, oh, Jean, old people have no filter. Which is not what I was hoping to hear. And then I rang another friend, and this is true, crossed my heart, and she said, well, Jean, sometimes your skin looks a bit dry. And then I rang a third friend, and she said, Jean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's the message. It just doesn't matter how old we are or how old we look, or if we look our age or somebody else's age. It just doesn't matter.
No, what matters is you're a good person, like, or funny, or you still got to be funny, right?
It's what you give off. What you give off.
Yeah,
you think,
exactly.
oh, you're being all hippie now.
Yeah. I got the whole gamut of young things.
Show us.
I can't get out of the chair.
You can do sit-down comedy.
I'm going to have to.
You've got to keep putting yourself out there no matter what, slings and arrows come at you, don't you think?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'd be heading into the age where you would be a mentor now for young singers, are you?
Yeah.
Not yet?
Don't do it if you
completely
get
embraced it.
I wouldn't do it if I were you.
I'm just not going to answer that one.
It's a good thing.
No, it's a good thing, yeah. No, I think I am a little bit, but yeah, I don't know.
Too young for that. You got a baby.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh no.
Yeah, no. Look, I suppose disgracefully, I was just going to say, what does disgracefully mean? Like aging, getting old, is such a natural, normal part of our lives. It's a time to embrace and celebrate who we are and what we have done and what we have achieved. And yet it seems we are constantly defending ourselves and our place in the community and our value and our worth. So does aging disgracefully, what does it mean? Like dressing younger than we are and dyeing our hair red, or if you're a guy wearing leather pants, driving a convertible? Does it mean making a noise when people would rather we were quiet? Does it mean giving people a piece of our mind when they don't want it or they don't need it? Does it mean being cranky and writing letters to the council? Or does being disgraceful mean shame? Shame at being old, shame at being alive, shame at having our own homes, our own desk, our own money, our own ideas and names and opinions, just shame at being. So if that's it, then what is aging gracefully? What does that mean? Does that mean not complaining, not falling over, not peeing, not looking old, not making too much noise? Does it mean looking our age and behaving with gravitas and submissiveness and keeping quiet in the room when others are speaking or letting other people speak for us? Does it mean not getting in anyone's way? In fact, getting out of people's way, especially professionally. Does it mean going quietly into the next room or the next office, or being seen but not heard and then not seen either? So, just look at the way we put our elders into retirement villages and nursing homes so they can be with each other and not with us. There are these blue zones that are in the world. There's 5 of them where they have done this survey that older people are the most happy, and what they've got in their lives is connection with the community. Everything you were saying, Liz, connection with friends, still valuable, still contributing, still having a glass of wine.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah. And not being not being spoken to as if we're incompetent or stupid. That's it. And not talked down to.
Yeah. That's a big one here.
Yes, yes.
So if you were going to age, what do you think of the topic, ageing disgracefully? What do you think?
Me?
Yeah, what is your take on that?
I'm still waiting for the disgraceful bit. I don't have a lot of energy, but I will keep trying.
And Pete?
Oh yeah, I found it a very strange title. I think if I've got a very basic mind. So
You're a man, darling. Don't worry about it.
knew it.
You can't.
You see? I'm in the most unpopular category.
No, we love you. It's just in the DNA.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. No, I
made him laugh.
Oh, you totally. You make me laugh all the time. The disgraceful bit is where you're out of control. Like my dad passed away on. I had to watch him on FaceTime. He euthanized himself in Melbourne because he was one of those people who hated getting old. You know, I remember when he was in front of his stepfather. His stepfather wouldn't have been much older than me at the time. He was wearing a 3-piece suit in the middle of the summer, which was odd. But my father stood in front of him and said, "Peter, if I'm like that when I'm 64, shoot me." Right. Which was a pretty mean thing to say in earshot. But my dad was a pretty loose guy, but he was a bit of a But he got to that point where he said, "I just can't stand the disgracefulness of my physicality being gone, my lack of control over everything disappearing before my eyes." And that for him was probably a 5-year process, but he said, "I can't. I want to tap out." And he got the euthanasia project sort of system into play, and within about 3 weeks he was, I was watching him put himself to sleep. And but for him, the disgracefulness was him not having any sense of control over himself. Yeah, that's the disgraceful bit, and that's just sometimes it's nature, and sometimes it can be an accident and whatever. But the rest of it, and that can be a like I say, a very short space of time, but where it feels disgraceful, but can also be a 10-year, 15-year here where you slide into it, and so that to me is the disgraceful part about ageing, where it's out of your control. The rest is controllable. Like my mum's 92 and she's controlling her age beautifully. She has physical issues, but she doesn't want to die.
Yeah. My mum has been saying to me, my mum's pretty upfront about dying. She said, Jean, in case I don't die, but I just lie there like a vegetable, I want you to turn off the machine, just turn off the machine. Firstly, she's been saying that since she was about 40.
I say to my kids all the time.
I now know it's, I think it's probably menopause. And the other thing is, I'm not quite sure what machine she has in mind. Possibly the iron. So, Katy, did you want to say something? And then we'll have a couple of questions from the audience. I know it's going to be hard, but did you want to say something about your take on ageing disgracefully? Do you think it's like hanging on to youth, or?
I don't know. I haven't really thought about things so far ahead.
Yeah.
In my world right now, I'm just trying to do what I can while I can, like with young kids and stuff. I guess right now I'm just all about pushing through and working as hard as I can. But when I get to, my parents are aging. My dad's rapidly aging. He's kind of got health problems and stuff. And it's just one day at a time, I guess. And I don't know.
You don't have to think about it.
Yeah, I'm trying not to think about it.
One day at a time.
Yeah, no.
One day at a time.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to think about it. either. But let's have some questions. Is there any questions? Yes, down here. I'll repeat your question if you don't mind, so everyone can
there's a microphone behind you.
But I've got a pretty good voice.
do it.
I'm just going to first of all start off with a little funny story. The other day there was a couple of us in a lift. We were at a venue and we're all 58 to 60. And there's a couple of young girls and they said, where are you ladies going? And we said, we're going to a 90s DJ tonight. And they were like, you're going to go off to like ABBA or the Bee Gees? And we're like, no, we're doing some deep acid house. And so we've just been doing the hashtag old ladies who acid house. Because that's kind of us. But one of the things which I've found interesting, you've been talking about, your own vision of yourself and what others see in you. But one of the things I've found, I'm wearing a dress here with El Superstar Destructor written on the front. So, I've got shoes that are pretty out, I wear interesting things. And I find that's one of the things as, just because you get a little bit older and you're over a size 14, we're all going to wear beige? Like, come on.
Yeah.
I went shopping the other week. I wanted to go to the gym and haven't been to the gym for quite a while. I need to get some new gym clothes. And I went to Karen Up. Well, that was a fucking traumatic experience. So after about, the fifth store, I was literally the mad woman just poking my head in going, do you even bother to have clothes over size 14? Because none of them did. Like, why are you going to the gym? Because you're a fatty. So maybe the fatties need to have clothes to get ourselves into. And it was just shop after shop after shop of just nothing. I finally go into this store and the young girl is telling me that maybe I could squeeze into this thing, which I knew that I couldn't. And I'm looking at her just going, it's not going to work. But anyhow, so I put this thing on and I had rolls. It was so tight. It just made rolls in all the weirdest places.
Pushed it out.
And what was particularly hilarious was I ended up with these kind of rolls up my back and across my back till I ended up with these two enormous dimples in my shoulder blades of just crepiness that I have never seen, ever. And then the legs are all crepey and I'm in my knickers and this thing, which I'm just really fucked off that she's made me get into. And I just stepped out into the middle of the store and just went, excuse me, look, I'm just wondering whether actually, is this what it's meant to look like? And you could see and that was my disgraceful because I'm not going to stand there and like, well, excuse me.
Excuse me, can you bring something in?
Yeah, I'm standing in the middle of the store looking as fucking flabby as I possibly could with my crepey and wobblies and whatevers, just going, get me some clothes that I could maybe fit into.
Yeah.
And
ageism.
And that is, as part of this Disgracefully, I find it really, it's not so much, certainly amongst my friends or in my career, I don't find that. But it's the moment you step into the store, the moment you go, man, that's the whole of Westfield. It's like as though
You're
Westfield
invisible.
Does not want to.
Invisible.
And it's, and I went into the city recently, and I was a little bit loaded with money. I just had a nice payment, and I really wanted to buy something, and literally I could buy perfume.
Yeah.
There was nothing out there of a size or it was like invisible. Just
you smell great.
I smell fantastic. I spent a lot of money on perfume.
I know. Thank you for making that point. That's a very good point. Thank you. We have time for another couple, I think. Where is it? A question. If we can make it. Oh, yeah, there you are. Sorry.
Yes. I'm a gynecological cancer survivor of 27 years and lobbied for gynecological awareness in the community. I was the West Australian Senior Australian of the Year, and I've established an International Gynecological Awareness Day. But you say the word gynecology and everybody's out the door. So I've got a Red Knickers campaign. So I'm asking everybody on the 10th of September to bring out your knickers and just share with the world that it's really important important to talk about all things gynecology and expose what is happening with gynecological health, not just cancers. We need to understand gynecology before it's a cancer. And I've stood in audiences like this and shaking like I still am, worried, really concerned. But as I'm getting older, it's time for me to stand up and be heard on behalf of all the other women. So thank you.
Yes. Go gynecology. Go our gynae bits. Go all. When I was first working in comedy, we'd go on there was a heckle for all the girls that went on stage, all the women, and they'd be like, "Show us your pink bits." That's how they'd heckle. So if anyone wants to heckle, I might actually do it. Just in support. Just in support. We do need to know, and as you get older, you need to know everything that's going on. You don't have to suffer, and a lot of women still feel shame about that and won't go and talk about their gynae health. So thanks for that message. Is there actually a question of the panel here? So not that I mind. Yeah, this lady with the red, in red. If you'd like to stand up, and there's a microphone.
Just a question for Peter.
Oh.
As you age as a comedian, how do you manage, and in fact, do you need to manage your material for your audiences as you move on?
Yeah, as I said before, I think you sort of, if your own sensibility is right, your material will end up being right. So I've never been a sort of comic that looks at racism or, I'm really generic because I sit in the corporate sector a lot, so I've got to be really careful now because that world's really shaky. They're really rattled. The cage has been really rattled. So if you're looking anywhere near being sexist, racist, anywhere near the line of any kind of issue, they won't get employment, so I've got to make people laugh across the board. But if you go to a club now, there's a lot of like the C-bomb's like the go-to word, so I don't swear much either. So I'm actually come from an area which helps me. It guides my my pitch of my act, if you know what I mean. And my daughter, I use young people. My daughter's a comedian now too. She's only 19, but I use her as a guide. I say, do I look old? Am I sounding old? When you watch me on stage, am I different from everyone else because I'm old looking? And my style of material, is it still relevant? Which I kind of get from an audience because they're a pretty good editing machine. But I can often just refer to younger comics around me as to my relevance. Because you do tend to, like Katy was saying, your audience will come to you a little bit, So if you go and do a performance, your audience will be of your
They'll find you.
They'll find you, that's right. So I used to go on tour with my daughter and we'd go down, I don't know, we go to some bowls club in, somewhere down south, and I'd advertise, and people would come, and I'd go, "Geez, who's on? Everyone's so old." And I'd go, "Oh, it's me." and then she would go out there as like a 17-year-old comedian to a sea of grey. Just terrified. So it's okay. Got to be funny for everyone, Dale. So it's a bit of that. It's tricky. It is an issue at the moment, but I think if you're smart, you can work your way around it. Jean's done it all of her career, has worked her way around any sort of themes.
Your comedy.
She yelled out, "Show us your pink bitch" just a minute ago.
So
no one said anything.
Your comedy has always been very warm, warm and universal, and you haven't used anybody as a punching bag.
No.
It's just observations of, it's really great observations of life and things that happen to us all regardless of our gender or that. So, when you say that, Pete, I can see how you're in a good place with your comedy, and you always have been. Because no one has to be frightened of, that you're going to be offensive or what you're going to say.
Yeah, so I'm not a very edgy person, but at the same time, laughter is a fantastic medicine. I think we all should be laughing as much as we possibly can, and to be able to deliver that as a thing, as part of my career, part of one of my things that I've worked on, is fantastic. I love what it gives off, and I love the feeling of happiness I can create when I want it.
Lovely.
And that will never end, Pete.
No.
It'll never end.
Straight back at you, Jen.
You'll be joking when you're lying there with your machine. Oh.
I got one more for you. I got one more.
Voltaire, when he was on his deathbed, a priest came up to him and said, "Do you renounce the devil and all his works?" And Voltaire said, "This is no time to be making new enemies." And then there was W.C. Fields. When he was in hospital, his friends came to see him and he was flicking through a Bible and his friends go, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Looking for loopholes." That'll be you, Pete. Yeah. You'll turn out, and that reminds me of Bob Hope. When he turned 100, his wife said, "Where do you want to be buried?" And he said, "Surprise me."
So is that funny?
We've had a really great panel session today. I know there were probably more questions, but I'm hoping that there's going to be some book signings, so you'll probably be able to grab people when they're out there, and if you have anything in particular. But please join me in thanking Liz Bursky, Pete Rowsthorn, Katy Steele.
Jane Kittson!
Yay!
Thank you. Great session, guys. Oh, yeah.
Go on, Jane.
Well, wait for me, will you? I can't
We've forgotten
get
Liz.
up.